Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about something very important, and that's Nomura. So I made a video about 2 years ago talking about how people feel about Nomura and if they think he's a bad game designer or if they think he is a person that got lucky making Final Fantasy VII with his co-creators in Kingdom Hearts. I made that video 2 years ago, and it is one of my most disliked videos. It's almost evenly split, and the comments are very aggressive. I've come to make a part 2 to this video because I have something to get off my chest regarding all of the things I said in that video. But I'm going to also say some new things that might add on to what I said. I never thought Nomura was a game developer that was overrated or terrible or someone that was just lucky. I think Kingdom Hearts 1 was beautifully designed when it came to holding a standard at that time. And I believe the same for Final Fantasy VII. But what I want to speak about today is Final Fantasy VII and how it has had mixed reviews ever since it first came out when it was remade. People really aren't the fondest of the storyline being remade and retextured and all of these things. People telling him not to mess with their childhood anymore. But Kingdom Hearts hasn't had that yet, where it's been remade and rechanged. Now, Nomura could do that with Kingdom Hearts 4 and maybe Kingdom Hearts. He could make Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep remastered Rebirth or something weird like that. Let's say he did something like that to Kingdom Hearts, like he's doing to Final Fantasy VII, like Final Fantasy VII Remake right now. Would that cause controversy? Would people really dislike him tampering with the old games and giving them a new story that could maybe try to tie in more information without Disney's control over all of what happened with, Mickey and Donald and Goofy? With those characters there, how different of a game would Kingdom Hearts have been? Would Riku have stayed evil? Would Sora still be the chosen one? Would Kairi have died? For all we know, Nomura could have taken Kingdom Hearts in a much darker, very much darker way that maybe our childhood wouldn't be able to comprehend if we played it back when it came out. But the problem here is that I think that's what makes Final Fantasy VII actually enjoyable to a lot of people, is that it's not dark. It's actually very different. It's not like a normal Final Fantasy game where bad things happen and the world is falling apart and everything could die if we don't stop it. Yeah, Final Fantasy VII had that with Sephiroth before the DLC came out, but you have to remember that Final Fantasy VII had better graphics, it had a lot more dialogue, it was a lot more uppity, and people loved the Cloud cross-dressing, and people loved Aerith and Tifa's, talks and how well they, synergized with each other when they were around. But could Nomura do the same with Kingdom Hearts? I believe Kingdom Hearts is a game that shouldn't be touched in the past. I think Final Fantasy VII Remake is something that is very divisive, and which is what many people could say Nomura isn't the best game designer, because making divisive games isn't what makes a community. Games need communities. I don't think Final Fantasy VII is a terrible game. I think if you turn your brain off and don't think of the previous games before it, it's actually really enjoyable. Just don't think Final Fantasy VII existed until the game just came out. But if you look at the game now, you can poke many holes into it. And that could be the same with Kingdom Hearts. Look at what he's doing now with Kingdom Hearts Nomura. It seems like he's taking it into a more darker, more sinister route. Maybe Nomura always wanted to do that. If you look at Kingdom Hearts 1, if you take all of the glitz and glamour of Disney away from it, you have a man named Ansem abusing and taking advantage of a child named Riku who just wants to find a better world, and taking away his friend, Kairi, the girl he cares about. Sora loses both his friends, one to darkness and one to almost having her heart used to the open up a keyhole to release the Heartless all over the worlds. And people would have died. There would have been millions of deaths. For we don't even know how big the Kingdom Hearts world is. It could have been billions to trillions of deaths on counting the worlds that would have been affected. Riku and Ansem would have killed hundreds of thousands to maybe millions of people. If you think about it in that way, Kingdom Hearts is a very dark game. Look at it. You have mind control, you have body control, you have torture, you have the concept of loneliness and betrayal and hate and despair. And if you think about it in an anime term like Final Fantasy VII technically looks like now, Kingdom Hearts could have been a very gruesome game, just like Final Fantasy VII, just like Final Fantasy 13, just like Final Fantasy 14, just like Final Fantasy 8, and even 10. Those games have very, very sentimental things that happen that cause people to remember them and be like, wow, I played the game when I was a child. It was emotional. It made me think about life. And when you think of Kingdom Hearts, you think about your childhood. You don't think about how it's like to be an adult. You think about how it is to be a child. But in the other Final Fantasy games, you see main characters grow and become different and how it feels to grow up in a world that's against you. So if you look at it in that way, is Nomura now bringing Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy together? Look at Kingdom Hearts 4. It's now in a world that looks very similar to what Final Fantasy VII could have, a futuristic city with people walking around and Heartless coming in from a goofy kids game that people really love and now looking more real than ever, and real people. This isn't like cartoon characters now. Real people that are walking around the city during an everyday life are going to be hurt. Does this mean that Kingdom Hearts is taking a more dark turn? Does this mean that Kingdom Hearts won't be the kids game that we love and remember from Kingdom Hearts 1 and possibly even Kingdom Hearts 2? You know, Disney won't glitzify it and make it seem as if the princesses are pure and the villains are evil. There's, just like in Kingdom Hearts 3, there's no such thing as light is good, darkness is bad. Riku has shown that now. It's now how a character feels and develops their motives. But how much can Nomura make a character feel compelling in Kingdom Hearts like he does in Final Fantasy? And this is where it's starting to get worrying about the game developing strategies he has. Because I never said he was a bad game developer. I never even said he was a lucky game developer. I said, how can he make Final Fantasy VII Remake and make Kingdom Hearts two totally different games when it comes to not the design of how the fights and how the monsters and how the characters interact with each other. I'm talking about how the concept of the games work. And this is where I'm getting nervous, because what if Nomura does the same thing he does with Final Fantasy VII and begins to think remaking the older Kingdom Hearts might be a good way in rebranding the franchise? Rebranding a franchise that many people care about and love. Kingdom Hearts 1 is a jewel that, yes, it may have had its mistakes and, you know, some of its errors that, you know, people think now are like, oh my god, this is horrible when you go back and play it, but as a kid, you don't think of that. You think of Sora and Goofy and Donald going around to try to save the world against an evil force that wants to destroy it. So when you look at it in that way, should Nomura really think of destroying the concept of Kingdom Hearts to make it more like Final Fantasy? Look at Yuzora. He's nothing that Kingdom Hearts has ever seen before. Yeah, I know he's hype, but it's also weird. It doesn't fit our mind when we think of Kingdom Hearts. If you showed someone Yuzora on the street and showed someone Sora, they would say, oh, that's Sora from Kingdom Hearts. And if they saw Yuzora, they would say, that's Final Fantasy. Is it time for Kingdom Hearts to be similar to Final Fantasy? Is it time for Nomura to actually try to make two separate games have more in common than ever before? Maybe to make it different for not just the remake of Final Fantasy VII, but even for Kingdom Hearts fans. Kingdom Hearts fans have grown in their 20s, some in their only 30s, and some played the game that before they even had the understanding of what it was like to play games as a child. They were already grown when the game came out. So this really makes me contemplate how I'm feeling about Kingdom Hearts 4. I'm worried because I believe Nomura can pull it off if he doesn't over bloat the game. This is where I'm saying that making a game and changing its concepts could destroy an entire franchise. Let me give you some examples. You have FNAF. It first started off to be gory and very, very scary. And then you have FNAF Security Breach, which is totally different than all the other games beforehand. And people hated it. Yeah, it got good reviews from new fans, but the older fans despised it so much that the videos made about the game had always more than 500,000 views. Some of them even had 5 million. There was 2 that had 5 million views about how they disliked the game. It even caused the fanverse of the game franchise to almost fall apart. If we look at other games that have also done the same thing of rebranding to try to make the game more unique to maybe a newer fan base, Halo did the same thing. And Halo has a TV show that's totally different now than the games. Yes, now you could say it's not a different concept, but it's different concept when it comes to characters, and the show was despised because of that. People want what they love. They don't want something new to destroy what they loved. Look at Star Wars, the prequels, and then you have the trilogy, and then you have the sequels. Look at it. Each has their own fans, and each will defend one of the 3 movies out of each version that came out in, let's say, the 1970s to the Phantom Menace to now, which is Rey. You started off with Luke to Anakin to Rey, and you have defenders for all 3 of them. If Kingdom Hearts takes a route that we aren't prepared for, could Kingdom Hearts 4 be the game Nomura does like Final Fantasy VII Remake, like FNAF Security Breach, like Star Wars, like Halo, where the game creates a new fan base of people that don't understand the old Kingdom Hearts and make it into a new world that us older fans don't understand, but the newer fans love more than the old ones? What if this game is something where you don't even have to play the previous games to understand what's going on? Would that divide the fan base? Would Nomura finally be seen as a developer that divides his communities more than creates them? Kingdom Hearts is one of his most popular games, and it created a fan base that not many others can. And if you look at Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is the most damning evidence, it has divided the fan base so much that some people play it to hate it and others play it to love it. It is seen time and time again when people play Final Fantasy VII Remake, and this is what's worrying me. And I think we all should be worried, but we all should believe in him as well. Nomura may have disappointed many when Kingdom Hearts 3 was released because they thought the game wasn't what they hoped for, but he made up with it for the DLCs. The DLCs made up for the game's mistakes. But how many times can you make a game not good enough on release, but then make the DLC good enough for the release? How many times can you do that before people get tired of it? Before people want something better? Before people don't want the DLC to make the game good, but they want the game on its own to be good? This is his time to prove to people that think he's not a good game developer and prove that he is. This isn't Final Fantasy. He's making Kingdom Hearts, a game that many of us remember. Kingdom Hearts will grow a new fan base because Kingdom Hearts 3 was loved by new people, but the older fans did not love it all the way until the data battles came, until we knew more about the Master of Masters, until we knew more about how Sora won against Xehanort, before we knew more about all of that. I'm tired of exposition and nostalgia making people believe that something's good. Kingdom Hearts can be good on its own. It doesn't need the nostalgia to make it good. We have the characters already. You can give us signs of how they were in their past and show how they grew. Because Nomura can do that. If he can do it with Final Fantasy VII, he could do it with Kingdom Hearts. You could do it with Kairi. You can do it with Riku. You can do it with Sora. They can still grow. Riku's story isn't done. Same for Sora's. Same for Kairi's. Don't remake everything because you don't have ideas. Keep going, because I know Nomura can do it. We just have to believe in him. Thank you all so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.